Hi, my name is Ito or Kieran. I'm with Dignitas, and I'm here with one of the teams that are going to be competing in the Verizon VCT Game Changers presented by Dignitas, and it's with Kunai. And Kunai is a really interesting team to me because I always feel like they have a lot to prove and honestly can do a lot of damage in this tournament. I'm joined by 4 of the 5 members. Unfortunately, Leah couldn't quite make it to this interview, but still, we have some awesome people. We have Hart, KAAY, KELLKY, and of course Dalkom. So I want to be going through everyone, and first starting with you, Hart. I want to figure out, when did you get started in Valorant? What kind of brought you to Valorant? Like, why aren't you playing League of Legends or something like that? Like, what took you to Valorant?
So personally, what brought me to Valorant was I came from Fortnite. That was my first like serious game for me. I
Mm-hmm.
watched an old friend play CS:GO on stream a lot, and I thought it was a really interesting game. But I was always put off by it because another friend told me that the mechanics is very different from Fortnite and something that I probably wouldn't enjoy. So once I started hearing about Valorant and seeing how similar it is to CS:GO, I decided that it was something I would definitely wanted to try, seeing as I was so put off from CS:GO as itself.
Yeah.
So I thought I would give this game a try. It seemed not so much. It did seem easier than CS:GO, and it seemed more interesting with the abilities and whatnot. So I definitely was interested in, and as soon as like I learned about the beta keys and whatnot, I had all those streams open like Electra and whatnot, and got my beta key the day the game was released for closed beta.
Wow,
And
lucky.
I've been grinding the game ever since.
Wow, okay. A little bit lucky. It took me forever to actually get a beta key. I'm a little jealous. But moving on to you, actually, next.com, I want to get your answer on this. How did you get started and what brought you to Valorant?
I've been playing FPS games since I was in like middle school, I would say, maybe late elementary school. I started
Mhm.
off with games like Sudden Attack, Soldier Front, stuff like that. And my brother was
Whoa.
really into those games, and he actually played semi pro for a little bit. And then,
Wow.
yeah, so that's what got me into FPS games. And I moved on to CSGO eventually in about 2014, I would say, and I
Hmm.
played about for 4 years after that, and then I took a break from FPS games, and I learned about the release of Valorant, and I actually also got a stream key within like 10 minutes of watching a
What?
stream.
You
Yeah.
guys are the luckiest team in this tournament.
Yeah, so I was able to get started really early, so I've been playing since beta, and it was a really new fresh start for me since other
Hmm.
FPS games, and it was really nice.
Wow. So you kind of took a break in 2018, and it wasn't until 2020 that you kind of returned,
Right,
and
yeah.
just already, just competing on that level. That's amazing.
Thank
Well,
you.
Kay, how about you? I want to get to you next. Again, what's your story? Is it similar to you two so far, where you've gotten lucky with a stream key super early, or was it maybe a little bit more turbulent for you?
I wouldn't say my answer is as exciting. This is my first FPS that I've ever played,
Uh-huh.
and I did get a beta key. Not that early; it was a couple days, but
Aha.
yeah. And the only reason like I started trying it is because just friends around me were like, oh, "Okay, let's try Valorant," and I never really got into it early on.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say like episode one, like Act Two, is when I actually started getting into the game and like seeing progress in myself. I guess it is my first FPS, so
Wow.
yeah, I'm really enjoying that though. I really love it.
That's amazing. Your first
Mhm.
FPS and you're already just really, really, really good at it. I
Thanks.
think that's just amazing. It shows, you have a lot of innate talent and obviously the skill that has been refined with a team setting like this. And obviously, last, definitely not least, Kelki, I want to find out your story as well.
I was actually not as lucky as the other girls. I had to wait like a week to get my key for beta, but I found out about it because all my friends play FPS, but this is
Mhm.
actually my first FPS. So it took
What?
a lot of adjusting and learning, but I'm just really passionate about this game and I'm continuing to learn.
That's amazing. Again, your first FPS as well. I mean, just something about Valorant, it kind of brings you to the game over, your CS:GOs like you mentioned, or your Fortnite, in one instance. One person, again, as I mentioned, unfortunately couldn't make it to the call is Leah, and I want to go to you, Hart, since you are the captain of this squad. Can you tell me a little bit about Leah? Maybe if it's not their story, just kind of like who they are on the team. Are they, a de facto leader? Are they what do they bring to this Kunai squad?
Leia recently was added to our team from Knight's first
Soccer
Sakura.
Cup?
Yep.
Mhm.
That we brought her on as a fill, and we ended up just keeping her with the team. She is our Senti main, and she is our IGL. She is our little rat of a Senti. We all love Leia really much, and I feel like she's brought a lot to the team ever since she has joined, and I'm very thankful to have her with us.
Aw. See, I'm hoping she watches this and then you know
We love
feels
her.
pretty
We
happy,
all love
confident.
Leia. We all
We
sim
love
for
Aw.
her.
her.
She sounds wonderful. I'm jealous. I wish I had a Leia on my team. Next question is going to be for you, Hart. And it actually kind of goes back to what I was just mentioning. How did this Kunai project get started, right? Did you pick these players? Did you handcraft them? Did you make a looking for team post? Like, how did you get created?
So originally, this actually I did not form Kunai. I was brought in
What?
as a sub. Yeah, I was brought in as a sub by Jen back in Galler's and Genji's Proving Grounds tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They needed a fifth, but they found one, and she was just like, "Oh, will you be a sub for us?" And I, this was like the first team that gave me a chance to even like be a part of anything. So I was just like, "Yeah, like I'll be a sub. Like whenever you need me, like you can have me. I'm free all the time." So I was a sub for a couple tournaments, the Genji Proving Ground, and then the first VCT Game Changers. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I've been with Kunai since February, and then we just gone through some roster changes. I was brought in as the main as part of the main roster. Jen and
Right.
Kat, who used to be a part of Kunai, left. Jen fell out of competing with Valorant. She just didn't want to play as much anymore, and Kat wanted to move on to a new team. So we've gone through a lot of roster changes, and captain was just brought on to me. I was doing a lot for the team. I was always like trying to set things up, figure out scheduling for us. So it's just like a
Wow.
role given to me. So Kunai is technically not my team, but at
Uh-huh.
this, it just feels like all these girls. We're a huge team. We're a family at this point. We're all great friends, and I'm very grateful to be where we are as a roster right now.
How did you like find these players though? I guess is the follow-up question for this. Like again, was it just looking for team post or just what was the magical coincidence that brought you all together then?
Uh, Dalcom was a part of the original roster with Jen,
Oh, okay.
Kat, and them, as well as May and whatnot. Jen posted a like looking for a player for the tournament, and I was just like, oh, like I have some interest in this, and so she brought me on as that, and that's how we found Kay. We were
Oh,
looking
I
for
see.
someone as a sub. Yep. And then
Okay.
we just been going through some roster changes and like getting us to the point where we're at now. And I think right now our roster is permanent. I am very happy with where we are. I am grateful for everyone that's been a part of Kunai, but everyone's off doing better things for themselves and they're all happy. So I'm happy for them.
I love that. Great mentality to have. Well, Kelky, your last chance to deviate from the norm here. Who do you want to chase down?
I guess the same top 3 too. But honestly, like, with these new upcoming teams, it's fair game for anyone, so I'm excited to play whoever we play against.
Last question before I let you all free is maybe something a little bit more personal, and it's kind of if you could give advice to any team that's trying to chase down the success that you've had or is trying to establish themselves in the scene, what would it be? And again, I want to go through everybody for this question. Hart, starting with you, of course, what advice would you give to all the women who are maybe watching this but don't quite know how to get started?
I definitely would say your mental. Mental
Mm.
is big in this game and especially in the competitive scene. Before, I would say us as a whole, like we would get really down on ourselves very easily out on a
Right.
loss. It was like an immediate like, oh, I'm so bad. Like go to Twitter and like be sad about it. But I've seen our mental change. Like before, like even if we are going against a really good team and say we lose, we see our improvement and we're proud of that. Like before Kunai would have gotten like 13-0, but now we're making these close games and we're doing good against these signed teams that are practicing probably a whole lot more than we are. So I definitely would say mental is a big factor when competing. You always need to be positive, even when the game is not going the way you want. You just have to keep that positive mental attitude, because as soon as you lose that, it's game over. You get into your head and you make these plays that just throw the rounds. So as long as you have a positive mental attitude, I think it can help you go far.
Personally, I just play a lot of ranked, and I know that already goes so far for me. Just like you
You
get tilted,
you
right?
get
Demons.
you ruin your mental when you play
Oh
ranked.
my god. Yeah. So the only advice I'm taking from this is never play ranked.
Yeah, just
No, but-
don't do it. What I say when it comes to ranked, you lose 2 games, get off. You're done. Like as soon as you
I
play
lost
2
7
games,
in a row yesterday. That's a
oh
great
my
idea.
god,
Or day before
no.
yesterday.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah, no. As soon as
My
I
poor
lose one
Elo.
game, I'm like, if I lose this next game, I'm done. Like I'm gonna go play some Spike Rush or Unrated, or I'm just getting off and coming back later. And I feel like it's helped a lot.
That's probably a good idea, not only for the mental, but for the elo as well. Dalcom, what's your
Definitely.
advice, your sage wisdom that might not be just stopping after you go 0-2 in the day?
Well, like Hart said, every time we get down, I say PMA, PMA, positive
Mhm.
mental attitude. And also, I want to go a little bit more generally here. Just
Right.
because your team is not performing well in tournaments does not mean you need to disband or you need to like quit or anything. Honestly, having the encouragement from your teammates and having the willpower to just keep pushing through and improving, that's a really big factor. And
Yeah.
and I think personally I'm a very I'm able to bounce back really quickly, right? Like mental wise. So me and Kay are nicknamed the ranked demons. We can go 0-13 in a tournament and we'll hop on rank right after and play like 10 games in a row.
I
So
don't understand how you do it.
Hopefully you
It's
don't lose 2 in a
crazy.
row at any point.
no, we just keep trekking on, because we
What?
are not quitters. Okay, we are not
Nope.
quitters, and eventually, I
Wow.
mean, you keep climbing and you just keep getting better and you just keep working at it.
Mhm. It's a mental game, right? And you
Right,
have to win it more so than the crazy mechanical skill. Kay, is
right.
that something that you echo, or do you have some other sage wisdom?
I think mine would kind of build off of that. So my advice would be to never stop trying to improve yourself, or even as a team, because even teams that are at the top, the most well teams, if they 13-0 a team, they're not going to be like, oh, we don't have anything to work on. Like that's not ever
Uh-huh.
something that a team says. So I think if you have the mental that you always have something to work on, you can always improve and keep getting better. And I think that's why just the female scene just keeps growing. Like we're
Yeah.
all growing at the same time, keeps getting better and better. And I think that's why we're being taken more seriously now, to be honest.
It's great to see as well, just, a positive environment like that where improvement is first and foremost is such a great environment to be in. Again, kind of the antithesis of ranked, at least in my case. But anyway, KELLKY, I want to finish up with you. Um, what's your advice here for anyone trying to enter the scene?
Honestly, I say take everything as a learning experience. Being able to network and talk to other people in the scene really helps as well. And just working on your own mechanics.
I love it. Just work on your own mechanic. I know, again, going back to me here, I'm making it personal. It feels like you're speaking to me with a lot of this advice. So I'll be definitely taking it to heart, and I hope everybody watching this certainly does as well. Thank you all so much for joining me, Kunai. It's been awesome to have you, and I can't wait to see you all pop off in the Verizon VCT Game Changers presented by Dignitas.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.